Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to the Embrace the Face podcast, where we are on episode 4 of the series with Kathy Kwiatkowski. Hi, Kathy. Welcome back.
Thank you. You're getting so good at saying my name.
I know, I love it's such a it really is. If you look at it on paper, everyone, I've had to practice and rehearse a few times, so and be very consciously aware. So thank you for being here. So we have done 3 episodes. If you are listening in and you have not listened to the previous 3 episodes, please do. This is all insights on past life regression, life between lives, and quantum hypnosis healing. We've talked about the logical mind versus intuition. We've talked about energy work. We've really been just deep diving into recognizing that you are, in fact, a spiritual being having a human experience. So, for this very special, last but not least episode, Kathy's going to talk about the benefits, but also what each technique actually is and how they differ from one another. So, we're going to be talking about past life regressions, the life between lives, and also just quantum healing. So, Kathy, would you like to start with talking about each definition, what each practice is, technique is?
Sure, I can do that. First, though, let me say just a little bit about the science behind
Yes,
all of
yes.
this. Yeah. So, one thing let's start with past life regression. I was shocked to find out that past life regression has actually been proven scientifically as a real thing, and that a lot of people don't realize that. So, one of the best books that I like to recommend for people to understand this is a book called The Boy Who Knew Too Much. Have you read that?
I've heard of it, but I have
Such
not
a great
read it.
book. Such a great book for several reasons. It's a story about a case study of a little boy who, spoiler alert, but I think this is on the cover of the book actually. Turns out he was Lou Gehrig in a previous life, the
Oh,
famous baseball player. But what I like about the book is that this little boy grew up in a family with a strongly conservative Christian family, Southern Baptist family. So, um, and it tells the story of how the mother eventually took her boy to be seen by researchers at the University of Virginia Medical School who were doing research on past lives, and how it all unfolded in terms of proving that in his past life he was Lou Gehrig and all the evidence that they found. So what's great about that story is, first off, I found out that there's actually people researching this phenomenon and proving that it's real. So it's not something to just believe in. It's a thing. Okay. And even the people who are doing the research, they make a distinction between an actual past life that someone has gone and proven, or a past life that somebody thinks that they've had that maybe is more a metaphor for something going on in their subconscious mind. There is a difference, but they're both helpful. It doesn't matter whether it's metaphor from the subconscious or whether it's an actual past life that you've lived. It doesn't matter. Your spirit's working with the material to give you the learning and the wisdom that you're meant to have. But I do love knowing that past lives actually exist, because then when you extrapolate on that to all of this other work that we're going to talk about, knowing that past lives are real really helps, because it's oftentimes the launching pad into opening up to all the other possibilities, right?
mm-hmm.
Um, so past lives have been proven. The work of Michael Newton for Life Between Lives, the reason why I studied with the Michael Newton Institute was because there was 30 years of research, thousands and thousands and thousands of LBLs that he did with people, which is the acronym for Life Between Lives. And he took all of those different case studies and put them into a book where he wrote about the commonalities of what things, the things that people were describing across thousands of sessions. So the fact that he was a licensed psychologist, that he used a good scientific model for his research, all of that appealed to me as a licensed counselor. And then, of course, you know, past life regression initially became really well known by Brian Weiss, who was a psychiatrist and had a medical background. So, and it's being studied at a medical school still to this day. So, all of that appealed to me as a licensed clinician to only work with people who had that kind of a background. So, that's my background in doing this work. And then, like I said, Peter Smith, who I trained with for the quantum work, he actually is an LBL therapist, and he took the LBL work and extended it further. So, again, working with people who have a nice solid background and foundation. So the difference, past life regression, we use a hypnotherapy technique that allows the person to move to another lifetime that they've had in a human body. So you can think about, as a soul, we have lots of incarnations. Sometimes we come here to planet Earth, sometimes we go elsewhere, which we can talk about in a minute. Past life regression typically is about seeing other incarnations in other human bodies in different time periods. Okay. That's the simplest type of a past life regression. There's an overlap with quantum that I'll talk about in a minute, where you can access aspects of you in other lifetimes in human bodies using a quantum process. But this would be the hypnotherapy process for going to a past life. When there's a lot of reasons why people come to do a past life regression. We know that there can be energetic ties to that connect you to past lives, especially around addiction. That's a big one. Um, Grief sometimes can activate energy of grief from other lifetimes. So it's interesting because in the field of traditional counseling, when somebody is experiencing an emotion in present time that feels disproportionate to the present time experience, we look for ties back to earlier in their life, like in their childhood, right? Well, now we're taking that and we're moving to other lifetimes.
Mm.
Same concept, let's say you've done all of your trauma work, but there's something that's still sticking in your system. And you're like, what is this? I think I've uncovered every rock, but this is still here. It's likely a past life that is activated somewhere in your energy field. So, any issue that you're having in your current life that feels like something is still there, that's when you might consider a past life. Um, Past life can be really helpful for relationship issues that you're having in your current life that just don't make sense. So I will highly recommend a book that's out there called Untying the Karmic Knot. It was written by a woman named Diane Morin. She is a counselor in Montana. Shout out to Montana. Montana's got so many people exploring these ideas.
Oh, I want to
And
make my way out there so
I
bad.
have so many people from Montana that come for LBL regressions. I've just started telling them, I don't know what is going on in Montana, but you guys have got it going on over there.
I love it.
Um, but anyway, her book, she took a bunch of case studies of hers from past life regression, and it demonstrates how the connection between current time issues and past life time issues. But one great example is, let's say that you've got a coworker in your office, and this coworker just, I mean, just doesn't like you. They treat you terrible. They always have. They've got no reason to be treating you terribly. They just are. You likely have some kind of past life with them. And she's got examples in her book of cases where, when her clients saw the past life and shifted the energy of it, literally the very next day they walked into the office, that person was nice as could be, everything shifted. So that's a great use for past life regression, is relationship issues. And that's usually related to karma, like something horrible happened in that other past life and the energy is still there. A lot of people do it just out of curiosity. I want to know where else I've incarnated and what that is. Um, Addiction is a big one. I could give examples from my own stuff. I had a client who was recently in his sobriety, but struggling with it, and did a past life, saw himself in the past life, sitting at a bar, being incredibly lonely. And that was the way that he took care of himself. And we shifted the energy around that. And it made his sobriety and his current life go more smoothly for him because we unloaded some of that energy. If you have unexplained physical issues in your current life, past life can be really helpful. My best example of that is I used to have really bad tailbone issues. And yes, I had had some falls and stuff, but it was more than what could be explained by that. And so I did a past life where I saw how I had seriously injured my tailbone, literally going over a waterfall in a raft and hitting a rock at the bottom of the waterfall, and it killed
Ooh.
me.
Ooh.
But the energy around my tailbone shifted.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
I know. It was
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Um, you've had other incarnations where you had spiritual gifts that
Mhm.
when you see those, you can access them again. Um, you can use past life to confirm visions that you've seen or things that psychics have told you in readings. It's like, well, you do a past life, maybe the same thing comes up that the psychic saw, which
Mhm.
confirms the information that you got. So
Mhm.
those are just some of the reasons for doing a past life regression. And that's the most simple kind of direct past life regression, where you're just seeing one past life. Some people, when I do a past life regression with them, will see multiple past lives. Like they might start in one and then jump to another and then jump to another. And that can be interesting. It just kind of depends on the person.
Okay.
Okay. Life between lives. We call that LBL. And so the technique for doing a life between lives session, the traditional technique, I'll put it that way because it's starting to morph a little bit. The traditional technique is you go to a past life, you go to the end of the past life where you see yourself cross over. At the end of your past life, you also get a chance to do a review of that past life, which you can do also in a standard past life regression. Oftentimes, I'll take you to the end of that past life in a past life regression and have you, see yourself die, and then explore what were you learning in that lifetime. What was the
I've done
wisdom that
that
you
several times. I've done
Yeah,
that work, yeah,
yeah.
personally.
So now, life between lives. You go to a past life, you go to the end of the past life, you see yourself die, you do all the things you would do with a past life regression, but now you cross over into the spiritual realm. Everybody's experience of that is different. Some people are greeted by a guide, by a group of spiritual beings. Other people, they just move on into the spirit realm. They're not greeted by anybody. They don't really need to be greeted by anybody. They know right where to go. The things that you can experience in an LBL, oh my gosh, there's so many. Everybody's is different. Back in the day when Michael Newton was first doing them, there was a lot of like going to your soul group, seeing who's in your soul group, really, exploring of the people in your soul group, what are some of the incarnations that you've had together. So then you could see all of these other lifetimes that you've had with other people in your soul group. Um, Going to meet with a council of elders to get guidance on how you're doing with your soul progression, your soul growth. In front of the council, we oftentimes ask questions about the lifetime that they just saw in that past life regression, as well as the lifetime that they're currently living. It's kind of like, you know, how am I doing? Am I on track? What else do I need to be doing? That
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
almost
stuff.
like being on trial, but you're not in trouble. Like,
No.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because when people stand in front of their counsel, they can always feel how deeply they're loved.
Mm,
You know, there might be a little bit of like, it's nervousness, but out of a sense of reverence for these beings that they're going to be meeting with, you
yeah.
know?
So can I share my
Yeah.
real quick my I had a life between lives experience in a past life regression. I moved from my in one of my sessions. I moved from my death. As you said, I experienced my death. I talked about it, what life lessons that I learned, and then I went into this life between lives. And first of all, you described earlier about being a floating head. I was just a floating essence. Like there was no physicality to me. I was just a very essence. Met with my soul family, met with my council. To this day, and this is like going back a few years, everything that I do in my life, the way that I live my life, I'm like, what would my counsel say? What would my cat like? Please help me. Like, am I doing so? Full disclosure, all of my quantum past life regressions involve me being either a madam in the entertainment industry or some sort of like floozy type situation. I've also been a male where I was sold because my father was a drunk and I was sold to work on a ship, a pirate ship. I've had other lives where the life going into life between lives, I was just a wife and a mother and I never lived for myself. For me, it's always my sense of independence and self-worth. But I just remember like I want to make my council so proud and I want to make my soul so proud. And that's what I took away from it, honestly.
So, my experience standing in front of my council, the very first time, um, it was so interesting because I was standing there and I knew that they were there and they were talking to me, and I was like, "Doo, doo, 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 doo." I was like, I can't get myself to focus and listen to them. So I got nothing out of it,
That's
except,
okay. You were
right,
taking it all in.
right.
Yeah.
And then the second time I stood in front of my counsel appeared as one just huge being. And
Ooh.
all of the communication was vibrational and telepathic, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what it was. I just felt it
Yep.
drop into my system and knew that I was given information, but it all bypassed my conscious mind,
Mm-hmm.
which makes total sense given that I'm so analytical still to this day, even though I've done all this work to be intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, yeah, we're not even going to deal with your conscious mind. We're just going to give you a
Bypass
download.
it.
So,
Which
yeah,
happens, which happens a lot of times in healings that you don't take note of it until later on.
right, right. Um, Healing experiences are big during an LBL, and they happen in all different kinds of ways. They can happen vibrationally, they can happen with light. Um, the way that people experience the spiritual realm depends on how they receive information. It's not always going to flow with how you've traditionally received information. I have some people who come in and they say, I've never been visual. And then they see all kinds of visuals in their LBL. That was the case for me. I've never been very visual, but holy cow, I see with my mind's eye all kinds of things
I love it.
um, during an LBL. But you know, your soul and spirit always has healing as the number one priority for you, because the earth journey is so hard, and they want to help you with clearing and peeling away and being as much back in resonance with your soul as possible, because you're here, that's what you're here to bring to the world, right? And so that's always their number one priority. And I get so excited because as people are going in, I'm like, I wonder what their healing's going to be. You know, I
Yes.
wonder how they're going to do it this time.
That's how you know you're where you're supposed to be, when you
Yeah.
get that excited about what's to come. I love that.
Yeah.
Now,
So,
do you feel, can I just ask real quick, do you feel that the lifetimes are linear, or do you feel that they're all parallel?
well, when somebody does an LBL, they sense it as linear, but we know that that's not the case from
Hmm.
quantum. We
Hmm.
just know that it's not. So, um, yeah, I guess that's my answer to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's I agree with that. Yeah. I see
Yeah.
it as, it's like, if you look at it in one perspective, yes, it's linear, but if you look at it as a whole, it's just all happening.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So when you do an LBL and you're in the spiritual realm, you can ask, other things. You get more connected with your own higher self.
Hmm.
The way that LBLs are changing these days is sometimes all of the information that a client gets comes from their higher self or their primary spirit guide that they connect with. Some people don't ever even go to the council. Some don't even go to their soul group. Their whole session is wisdom dropping in with their higher self and with their primary spirit guide.
I've had a
Um,
few sessions like that, actually, where you go,
yeah,
it's kind of like half and half. Like you're traveling into a life, and then you're also accessing your highest self and communicating with the highest self.
right, right. Also, there's the option to go to the library, right, to see your
Mhm.
Akashic record.
Yes,
And I have some people who that's their experience. Um, I always, during LBLs, have the client query about what is my primary job in the spirit realm, because when we're fully back in spirit, there's still things that we're doing there. Some of us are teachers, some of us are also guides. Some of us are healers that help when souls come back from a journey and they need their energy reworked. Some of us are energy healers in the spirit realm. So it's fun to explore that. In
I
my
think that's
very first,
important to note too, that
it's
people
nice to
understand that.
know.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
is a version of us that's still up there guiding us and still helping others.
Right, right. Yeah. I know my very first LBL, when the question was asked, what do you do in the spirit realm? All I saw was myself flying around like Tinkerbell, spraying colored light.
Oh, I love
And
it.
I was like, huh, all right. I am the spreader of colored light, which
I love it.
what's really funny is if you know me personally, I wear very colorful clothes. My home is very colorful. I'm all about flowers and colors. So, I mean, that
Uh,
makes sense.
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So, when you do an LBL, there's a process ahead of time where we kind of map out what are the questions you're hoping to get answered for yourself. And so a lot of times people will have things happening in their current life. And it's like, I want to know more about this. I want to know more about this. Have I had a past life with this person or that person? I want healing for this or that. Am I on the right track with my business? What else can I be doing to be better connected to my soul? Which we always ask that question when they connect to their higher self before I leave. We always ask the question, what's going to be best for Allie to do moving forward to stay connected to you? What signs will tell you that will tell her that you're close by? Things like that enhances that connection and communication between the human in the chair and their higher self or their guides. So we map all of that out. And then a lot of times we get to many of the questions, but it's really funny because oftentimes when the person is back in their soul state, connected either with their higher self or a guide, and we go to start the questions, their guide or their higher self might say, well, Allie already knows all these answers. It doesn't matter. To which then I go, you know what? Allie wants to hear the answers to the questions. So we're going to ask them anyway, if that's okay. Because then we get them on the recording, because I record it all. And then you take your recording home and you've got your answers. So,
You want to hear something wild?
sure.
One of my recordings, in actually I feel one of my most significant uh, regressions that brought a lot of healing, physical healing to my life. And a few minutes into it, like you're listening to it, and because they always say for those listening, when you do get a recording, every time you listen to it, it's healing you even more and more, like when you replay it. So I always would listen back to my recordings, and this one recording at one point just started making this tick, 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 tick noise throughout the entire recording for an hour and 44 minutes. And 144 is the universe. So I just found that, so like that alchemy number, the 144, and it was just it sounded almost extraterrestrial. That
Yeah.
makes sense. So I saw the person who guided me through felt horrible that, the recording did. And I was like, I just see it as that is a sign of spirit. Like I got what I needed. But I don't know. I just remember that, the recording of it being just 144.
Yeah. That's so I love that. Such evidence, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I took it as, okay, well, I don't need to rehear it, but it's a sign of some sort.
Yeah. So, extraterrestrial, let's talk about that for a second. So
Okay.
the thing is, we don't incarnate just here.
Mm-hmm.
We incarnate all over the place. And so when people do life between lives and we set the intention to go to a past life, they don't always go to a past life. They might go to an incarnation on another planet, or they might go straight into the spiritual realm without even needing to go to a past life. That's the thing that has started to change more recently,
Mm.
is more and more people are not necessarily going to a past life. They're just going straight to the spiritual realm.
Have you had experience with working with people who talk about their star seed origin, their
Mm-hmm.
galactic origin? Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Do you have enough data to like categorize
I
each
don't.
origin? No. Oh, I love
I
that.
don't.
I feel
I
like
don't.
that's going to happen for you. I feel like you're going to start to build that up intuitively.
Well, my oracle card readings would be saying that that's the case.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like that's going to come through for you. People are going to bring you
Yeah.
a lot of insights. I remember you shared that you had a life where you were a blob. Were you a blob? Was that
So
you?
I was some kind of a being
Okay.
that lived, I was on a planet. I lived completely underwater. So I could breathe water, I guess. I felt like I was like some kind of an amoeba of some sort. And the water fed into this big cave, but the cave also had water in it. Um, it was that kind of a, um, I don't want to say experience. It was that kind of an existence,
Yeah.
that kind of an
Oh,
existence.
interesting.
Yeah, and it felt like it was inside the middle of some planet somewhere.
Oh, ooh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. That's what it felt like.
Ooh.
So I don't know. Maybe if they ever discover a planet that has those kinds of existences in water, but
Yeah.
I had intelligence. I could tell that I had intelligence, which
Mhm.
was really interesting. Yeah.
So interesting, fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what else do we use LBL for? We can use really pretty much anything under the sun. You can ask questions about anything. You can ask to see past lives connected to different things. So,
Mhm.
whatever those things are. A lot of times we'll explore phobias, because phobias are usually connected to other lifetimes. Um, yeah,
I
a
love
lot of it is about understanding your plan for this lifetime, how you're doing with that. Are you on track? And then there's all kinds of stuff that can drop in that you're not even asking questions about. I've had times where people give me messages through their LBL. It's like,
it.
they're wanting you to know XYZ.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so you can sense the difference between a past life regression and an LBL, right? There's
Mhm.
just a whole different type of working with your spirit guides and the council and your soul group, and getting answers about all different kinds of things. So now quantum. Let's talk about what quantum is. So quantum, Peter Smith, who developed the quantum work that I do, says that it is not hypnosis. And he says that because traditionally with hypnosis, you put a person in trance, which means you're going deeper and deeper and deeper. And deeper slows down the brain waves. And the imagery and the languaging is all around deeper and deeper. With quantum, you use language that is about expanding out further and further. So if we go back to that conversation about the auric fields,
Mhm.
you're basically cueing the conscious mind, which is in this 3D us brain, to open to the awareness of these broader aspects of you, that as you expand, you eventually expand out into the quantum field.
Mm.
So it's a journey out rather than a journey down. Um, that's a very significant difference between the
Yeah.
two. Um, Many of us now who do LBL are blending quantum with LBL. So we might use some language around going deeper, but then we simultaneously use the language of expanding.
Mm. So
So
it's
you're
like going in to get to the nitty-gritty and then allowing yourself to expand at the same time.
well, and even in the whole induction process, which is the entering the whole journey, we might use both,
Okay.
right?
I like that.
So the mind is slowing, you're going deeper and deeper, expanding now. It's just kind of, we follow our own intuitive flow with what's going to be most helpful.
Mm.
Um,
It's like fluid
some
healing movement, like
Yeah.
whatever works. Yeah.
And if you think about expanding and deepening, like, you're still human, and for some people, if you expand too fast, that the system can kind of get freak out a little bit about that, like, wait a minute, how am I going to get back to my body, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important for your listeners to realize that, because they may not realize if they've never done any of this kind of work before, that you're always still completely aware of the fact that you're a human, right? A lot of people are under the misperception, because it's depicted this way on TV and in movies, that when you go into trance, that you don't remember anything that has happened. It's very rare that that happens. It does happen to some people, but very rare for the most part. And even if that happens where you don't remember what you said, you're still aware of the fact that you're talking.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
When
So,
I channel light language or I'm doing
mhm,
Reiki, I'm sure you as a Reiki master too, when those intuitive hits come through, it's like it's just flying through. And
right.
you're aware. When I do light language though, it's almost like I'm taking a back seat. I do feel like I'm in like an office waiting room kind of, but I'm aware that I'm in my body. And then it's like when it's like, okay, your time is up, you can come back in now. And that's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah, I've had one experience of that, and it was actually last October when I was at the worldwide conference for the Michael Newton Institute, and we paired up and did LBLs for each other. And in that experience, I had all of this download that was coming through me, and I just like I could hear myself saying all of this stuff. I'm like, where is this coming from? You know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I love that.
so people who have never done hypnosis, I always make sure that they understand that you're not going to lose touch with who you are. You're still fully aware that you're a person sitting here in the chair. Inevitably, they'll decide to cut the grass right outside my office window. You'll hear the lawnmower.
Yes, yes.
um, so, for some people, that's reassuring. For people who are highly logical, they can take that and go, "Well, I wasn't really hypnotized. Just doesn't feel any different than me just
Mhm.
sitting in this chair and talking to you." And they may even say while they're in trance, I don't think I'm hypnotized. I'm just sitting here talking to you. I'm like, yes, you are sitting here talking to me.
Mhm.
And
Yep, yep. Same thing with ketamine actually, when they're under and their eyes are wide open and they're
right,
this isn't doing anything.
right,
Okay.
exactly. There's another piece about that too. I think it'll come back.
I think
So
I think the interesting part that you're pointing out is that it is possible to this keeps coming through that it is possible, like I stated before, to heal without doing all these psychedelic macro doses. You don't have to, you can get to these states without it. And the dissociative drugs, whether they are of Mother Earth or they're synthetic, are going to make you almost lose sight of the fact that you have a physical body. There's that play that comes in where you hear a lot of people say that they're experiencing they're having these experiences and they have to like lift up their mask and make sure that like they're still here, that they're still a human. There's none of that with hypnosis. Like you are safe at all times. You are in your body. You are a physical and spiritual being. So I like
right,
that. Thank you for pointing that out.
yeah. And oftentimes people will say, well, what if I see something that's really painful or really horrible? And I'm like, well, first off, you can always just open your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Second off, usually what we do is I'll just guide you to rise above the scene and look at it from above. Um, so usually, they're fine with that way. I used to, before I got my quantum training, I used to say, well, just remember, this is a past life. It's not happening right now. I can't say that anymore.
Yeah, the verbiage, the professional verbiage definitely comes a long way.
Yeah. Um, okay. So that was a bit of a tangent, but I think it's important for people to understand who have never done hypnosis before
Yeah,
what to expect. So,
absolutely.
so quantum is more expanding out. The other thing about quantum is, you're using the principles of quantum science, one of which is energetic entanglement.
Mm.
So, obviously, energetic entanglement works with all of these processes, but it's very intentional with quantum in the sense that as a quantum therapist, I know how to expand my vibration, which then guides the client in their expansion. So there's a very mutual process happening energetically. It's not just the words that I'm saying, it's what I'm doing in my own energy field to support the client's expansion using that entanglement theory. Um, Other aspects that are incorporated in the quantum. There is no sense of time in the quantum field, so you can access any time space dimension.
Mm.
So, in Peter's book, Quantum Consciousness Experience, he has a map of the different realms of consciousness. That has evolved over time. The first map looked like a bullseye.
Mhm.
um, and it looked more like discrete layers. The newest map, he figured out a way to depict it visually that really more accurately shows how all of these different realms of consciousness are part of the one unified field. So, how you access a particular realm of consciousness is really about your intention. So, for instance, one of the realms of consciousness is parallel consciousness. Parallel consciousness holds all of your incarnations in physical bodies on planet Earth. So, when you do a quantum session, the way that it would look different than what we've talked about up until now is you go to the realm of parallel consciousness and you invite in any aspects of you from any other time in your current soul lineage to come forward who has wisdom to share or who has healing to offer, or vice versa, who needs healing or who could benefit from the wisdom of your current consciousness. So there's this reciprocal working with these aspects of you. So the premise in quantum is we are all our own little universe. And
Microcosm and a macrocosm.
right?
Yep.
So you're working within your own little universe. So you might be accessing aspects of you along the same time space dimension, or you might be going interdimensional to aspects of you on other who have incarnated in other planets who can step forward. You can expand out to the whole unified field.
I love
You
it.
can
This is what I
also
do. This is what I guide people through, and I love it.
okay,
So
yeah.
it's so beautiful. It's like it's limitless. The possibilities are limitless.
It is limitless. And I love the reciprocity in the process.
Hmm.
So before you go into the journey, we set an intention about uh, an intention for the overall journey, and the intention itself sets the vibration for the
Hmm.
journey. And then as you're doing whatever you're doing, we keep anchoring back to, how will this help Allie with her intention for today with regard, that is blank.
Hmm.
So it all comes back to that. The other lovely aspect of the quantum work is whatever you gain in your journey, you're then invited to ripple the knowing and the healing out across the whole collective. So there's this lovely, like, sharing the vibration of the wisdom and the healing across the collective. And those of us that are doing it, we really honestly in our hearts believe that we're healing the planet with this work.
Yeah, it's nothing egotistical. The candle I lit behind me, I'm pretty sure my intention was allow Kathy and I to heal humanity.
Yeah.
Allow the channel through us to heal humanity. There's no vision too big or too extreme, I don't think, in the quantum to tackle
We
that.
are, yeah, we are that powerful
Hmm.
on an energetic level. We really are that powerful.
Yes, we are. The human intelligence is undeniable, to be honest, at least in my opinion. I'm always telling clients, no matter where they are in their journey, that I feel that when you access the quantum realm, you get that wholehearted sense of who you are, and then bringing that back, and then even I think digging even a little bit deeper into, you described it as your blueprint. So or us being in our own little universe, we all have a natal chart, the energetic blueprint of who we are. And before recording, Kathy sent me her chart. And for those not familiar with your natal chart, it's the astrological idea of your soul's blueprint written in the stars based on the time of your birth. So it is said spiritually also that the moment we take that first breath, amnesia sets in. Like we have no idea what we're doing here, what we came here to do. Again, that idea going back to the first episode that we recorded, talking about how we are raised, we are brought up to be, and we forget that. We forget that we're here to fulfill a mission, and we forget that it's literally written in the stars for us. So by simply utilizing quantum or even LBL or past life regression, and also getting to, I always say, get to know thyself is to love thyself, is to heal thyself, to look at your blueprint, just like our fingerprints. We all have, unless you're an identical twin, we all have a unique fingerprint, right? So we all have our own unique soul print. And it's about, I think, getting to know thyself, getting to know your guides, getting to know your angels and the past versions of yourself, the future versions of yourself,
Yeah,
the
we didn't even talk about how quantum can work with future aspects of self.
yeah. So
That's,
do you
that's
want
a,
to touch on that? Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
well, it can go in so many different directions. I mean, with quantum, you can actually connect with a future aspect of you and bring it into present time. You can take healing and wisdom that you've gained in present time and ripple it out into the future. I mean, it really, there's so many different ways to play with that. But yeah, getting to know yourself, I mean, on a psychological level, I strongly encourage everybody to do the Enneagram. It
Yeah.
is so powerful in helping you to understand your personality and aspects of your personality that would make it challenging to open to your spirit and how to work with that. It provides such a great roadmap for how to function in the healthiest aspect of your personality. Me finding out I was an achiever type was a game changer. I could see it in everything. And then I just went about going, okay, I'm an achiever type. How do I be a healthy achiever type?
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
So there's that. And then there's your human design, which, I'm always wanting to learn more. And I will say sometimes I overwhelm myself with everything that I'm gathering, and then I have to kind of chill for a
Me too.
while.
Just be. Yeah.
Yeah. But recently, learning my human design, super helpful. Learning, having my chart done. I love the elements, the
Mm,
four elements. I
yeah.
love that everything about the elements, and then of course understanding your soul journey and all of your different incarnations and your soul plan and who you are in truth. So, if I can go back just a minute to the book, when I got guided to do the book, it was like every everywhere along the way in the book, I kept hearing two main things. They need to know who they are in truth, and they need to know that they're never on their own, that they're always supported.
Oh, yes.
And that is the theme through the whole book. And of course, that was what I needed to know. That was my healing message, that all of that stuff that I went through, I was never alone. I felt really alone, but I never was. And so that's my passion message. You are never alone, and you are so much more. In fact, who you are, okay, I got a list of like 30 adjectives I could use to describe your soul. You're just powerful and brilliant and beautiful and wise, and yeah,
All
just
of
know
it. All
yourself.
of it. Yeah, know
Know
yourself.
yourself.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of quantum work myself, like for my own current journey in my business journey. really embodying. I loved how you described it. Like you can work with your future self. There's so many ways to go about it, and one of the simplest ways that I'm learning and passing on to others really is just a simple visualization technique of, especially in business, like what do you embody, what do you envision, what do you envision, and that version of you stepping into that, what does that version of you look like, walk like, talk like, what do they dress like, what is their stature like who are they, what is their energy, where are you vibrating at, and then just simply embodying that and taking that timeline, right, that frequency that you want to achieve, that you want to embody, and owning that, tuning your frequency to that timeline. The idea is collapsing the in between, the collapsing timeline, so that you're living in that new frequency. And the idea is that all of the abundance is coming to you and everything is coming to you because you are that energetic match, you are that
Right.
frequency.
And for somebody who feels energy, that would be a great approach. Tune your vibration. For someone who's more visual, sometimes I'll guide them by saying, just see your energies melding. Just see
Mm,
them melding together. You're now one energy. How does that feel? That.
yeah.
So depending on what works for people, but absolutely. Then now that is you, right?
Mhm.
That's the message. You are that, and that is you. Now walk through the world with that,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And it doesn't mean that like everything's going to be miraculously, okay. You still got to do the work and you still have to be in tune and flow through life, I think. But it definitely makes it more motivating and just higher vibe in general, lighter,
Right. And
brighter.
and when you've probably experienced this, Ellie, when you work with somebody else and they're guiding, and let's say you tune your frequency, and then the facilitator is like, so how does that feel? What is happening? And then you start describing what's happening, and then it expands even more. And
Hmm.
then you describe the expansion, and then it expands even more. And it's just a way of just really turning up the volume of it, so that then when you come back into present consciousness, you can still fully feel everything that you just experienced. And that's the key, right?
Oh,
So you don't like step back out of it, you have it with you.
yes, you're embodying it. It is you. It's within you, within, without, above, and below. I also feel, to mention automatic writing, I feel is another way of, especially after doing any sessions that we discussed today, the past life regression, into the quantum and LBL, like writing everything down, getting it all out. And as you said, so taking clients through, for example, a client that I have with cancer and visualizing like where do you feel it? What does it look like? Black. Okay. Well, sometimes we call in Saint Germain and bring in the violet flame and put that violet flame through and allow those energies to dissipate and be no more. And it's fascinating to hear my client discuss how now I feel lighter. Now it's purple. Now it's bright white. Now it's not black and muddled and heavy. Like it's healing and it's not a part of me anymore. I think that that's beautiful. And then I always encourage people when they come out of whatever type of technique to really journal on it, giving them journal prompts, and then a simple journal prompt asking why when you think you're done writing, well, why? And then keep writing. And then why? Like set a timer for 5 minutes, right? And one journal prompt, right? And a lot of people will say, well, I'm done. I already wrote. Okay, but why? Keep going. Why? Keep going. And I have pages. I could go like 5 pages on one journal prompt by just digging deeper. And I think it's just the same idea as you were saying, like in the quantum visualizing, you can do it on paper as well, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this has been a fascinating conversation. I thank you so much. This whole 4-part series has been enlightening. And I said before we started, I said this is gonna help me. This is gonna heal me. And I hope it has brought you healing as well. You are so wise, so powerful, doing amazingly beautiful work. And also for those listening in, and I'm gonna be sharing this throughout the next month that we're going to be putting these episodes out. So Kathy she's so kind enough to give you guys a freebie for you to tap into your own quantum healing journey or past life regression journey. It's a journey gift. So the website I am going to post, you can, in the information about this episode, it's beyourlight.org/journey gift, but I will share that link. I will also share Kathy's link so that you may work with her in person and virtually. I'm assuming, right? You can do virtually.
Yes, I do both. Yep.
Okay, very good. Is there anything else that you want to share?
Well, starting, I will be running my online courses. My 8-week course will run in the spring, and my mentorship will run again next fall. The current one is just finishing up. So there's that. But there are ways to work with me one on one. I think, Ali, I also gave you a link that you could put in that enables people to schedule a free 20-minute call with me
Yes,
if
yes.
they want to just chat and see, if they would want to do some work one on one. And the book's out there. Check out the book. It
Yes.
has some fun case studies in it. The book is really meant to be inspirational. So if you're feeling, and it's definitely infused with a high vibration. So if, I've had some people have said, you know what, I just carry it around. Just carrying it around makes me feel better.
I love that. Aw, like a little comfort. Yeah, that's
So, one of my biggest compliments when I went to a yoga retreat last weekend was somebody came in with their book and they wanted it signed. And the side of the book had all these little stickies on it from all the page. And I was like, you have no idea what a compliment that is. You
oh,
are so using this book. And she's like, well, yeah. Don't people do that?
oh, that's just a testament to how amazing you are and how powerful you are and how much like you just have to offer the world, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah,
It's such
that's
a
just what
light.
she did. She's like, that's just what I do. I'm doing the things.
Oh, yeah, taking it seriously. You're giving the tools and people are utilizing them, and that's
Right.
all you
And
can ask for.
yeah, and you talked about journaling. There are 13 places in the book with activities and reflection questions.
Amazing.
So it can be a nice self discovery tool as well.
Amazing. I'm ordering it as soon as we're done recording.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Kathy, so much for being on. Thank you for our listeners for tuning in. And I'm sure there will be more to come with Kathy. So keep a lookout. And thank you, everyone. Peace out and God bless.